Hi everybody, Last Patriot here, coming to you today once again from beautiful upstate New York. Today is the summer solstice of 2019, the longest day of the year. It was a lovely day to be outside, mid-70s, mostly sunny, a little breezy, and I'm just wrapping up a 3-miler. It's about an hour and a half before sunset right now, and it's starting to get a little dark. Climbed up to a little bit of a vantage point up here. See a little squirrel. Is that a chipmunk? A little chipmunk off in the background. So what I want to talk to you about today is one of the 3 most important principles in being a survivalist, in my opinion. The first one is being in good physical condition, which I talked about in another video. That one is really almost more important than everything else put together. So if you haven't seen that one, check it out. The second most important one, which is the one we're going to talk about today, is being part of a team. Some people call it a tribe. And the third one, which we're going to get to in another video, is redundancy, or basically having a backup plan. The military acronym is PACE, which stands for Primary, Alternate, Contingency, and Emergency. All right, so the importance of joining a team is if basically everybody needs help sometimes. And there's some things you just cannot do, no matter how we all think we're independent. There's some things you just cannot do by yourself. You have to share the work, somebody knows something that you don't, etc. So ideally, you would form a team before things get bad, because once things get bad, it's going to be hard to get anything done. So ideally, you would form teams before things get bad. You would train together, make plans, and then if something happens, you can just put the plan into action. So if there's ever a real emergency where you have to post armed security, that things are really, really bad, there's a riot or there's some kind of civil unrest or local or whatever, the smallest team would be a family, typically a mother and father and maybe a couple of little kids. That will be 2 adults, and that's a little bit small because if you have to pull night security, you're going to have to either alternate 2-hour shifts for 8 hours or each take a 4-hour shift. And that's not ideal. You're not going to be getting much sleep. And plus, you're going to have to be doing your regular activities during the day. So 2 adults is not really enough. Maybe if one of them hasn't been training enough, hasn't gotten to the range or whatever enough, that might not cut it. So ideally, I think you would want to have at least 4 adults, which could be, teenage kids if they're mature enough, and 2 parents, that would do it. Or 2 families, which would be 4 parents. That would be better because if you have to post security, 4 adults, each person could take 2 hours, and that would be an 8-hour night shift of night security. So that would be better. So, there's just things we're not going to be able to do all by ourselves. Everybody has to sleep. If things get bad, you're going to be doing more manual labor. Maybe we're not all used to manual labor. So you want to try to get this squared away before something happens. So the least severe instance where you would need a teammate is sometimes you just need a hand with something. You have to move a refrigerator, or I'm on a little bit of a hill here. You have to move something heavy. You need somebody to hold up a board while you nail it, and minor stuff like that. Or maybe you need some expertise that you don't have, that your buddy has. Those are minor things, but they're good team building activities. You need to work on the plumbing, you need to work on your car, or tactical stuff that maybe one of your buddies knows that you don't, if you know what I mean. The second, what a little more severe, is like a local event. Could be a storm, could be a riot, blackout, stuff like that, where if you can get away in time, you'll probably be okay. And in a situation like that, you want to have some place where you can go that's not affected by this local event. If it's a buddy or another family that you're friendly with, maybe a few miles away, you could walk there. If your vehicle is still operating, you could drive, of course, but you got to assume traffic's going to be bad. And something like that's more likely to happen than something catastrophic. So if one of those local events, you want to get that taken care of in advance, so if something happens, you can just bug out to your friend's house, they can bug out to your house or your home, wherever you are. That stuff actually does happen quite a bit. There's flooding all over the country now. There's blackouts. There's local stuff does happen. There's been riots. So that stuff is very realistic. It has happened already. So that's not fantasy. And the most severe event where you would need a team is something really catastrophic, which personally I don't think is very likely. But civil war, or we've been invaded by another country, something like that. I don't personally think that's very likely, but bugs are on me now. You want to be ready because in a situation like that, if you get caught unprepared, the consequences could be quite severe. So for something like that, I would say you would definitely need at least 4 adults. And you want to train together in advance so you know how to work as a team smoothly if you can. It's not easy to find reliable people. With the internet nowadays, it's a lot easier to meet people than it was 30 years ago, when you'd practically have to bump into them to get to meet them. Ideally, you would want to be teammates with people you already know, and ideally your friends and relatives would also be into preparedness like we are. That doesn't happen very often, so you're going to have to reach out, cast a broader net, and try to link up with people somewhere in your area that are interested. And if you can find people that are reliable, that are really in it to win it, and they just don't like, not people who just want to play army men. They just want to play army on the weekend, but they're not really into it. So if you can find even one family, one other adult couple, would be a big help. Somebody that you can really count on. Again, I've been in this for a little while, and it's not so easy to find somebody that you can really count on to protect your family. Let's say, for instance, the head of the household is either he or she maybe in the hospital for a couple of days or out of town on business, and an unexpected storm is blowing into town. Your battle buddy or your teammate say, "Hey Mike, can you swing by the house and pick up the girls? I'm going to be out of town for a couple of days." Something like that. And vice versa. If your buddy is incapacitated, you swing by his place, you either stay there for a while, spend the night there, keep an eye on them, or bring them over to your home and kind of link up like that. So, yeah, but the important thing is to do this before something happens. And again, most likely you're going to have to use the internet to meet people that are like-minded. Because like I said, it's very, very hard to find somebody reliable. A lot of people talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. So, Pastor Joe Fox is my survivalist mentor. Check him out on YouTube. And he's been preaching it for a long time, no pun intended, that you got to get this stuff squared away in advance. You got to go out and meet people, and you can be a little bit open. If you meet somebody who's into preparedness, as he says, don't give away the family secrets the first time you talk to somebody. But you gotta be a little bit open. You gotta talk to people a little bit. If you come off as a weirdo, as a loner, you're not gonna attract a lot of teammates. So give it some thought. And the catastrophic stuff is pretty unlikely, but local stuff does happen. And we've probably all been caught unprepared a couple of times, and you get away with it most of the time, but there may come a time where you won't get away with it. All right, so get out there, try to find people, cast a broad net, and even if you manage to find one other couple or a couple of other adults that are into it, try to start training, team building. You have to know how each other thinks and moves and operates in a crisis, because when the lights go off, people freak out. So you have to know how your battle buddy functions in advance. All right, so this is the Last Patriot reminding you, always be prepared. All right, signing off.